Last year I visited Finland, and while I was at an open-air museum, which is already very high on the scale of excitement, I went to the gift shop and they had this, a guide to nalbinding, and they even sold a needle that goes with it. And this is an artist's impression of the moment I saw this book. I was so excited I went back to the hotel that evening and drew myself in that moment, and I still am very excited. There are many crafts that I want to try one day, but nalbinding, not only is it fiber craft, but also it's very ancient and anything historical I want to try out. Here it says that nalbinding is the most ancient method to create fabrics with needle and yarn, and that there are surviving fragments as old as 4,000 years, which means that it's at least 4,000 years old, I guess. Could be more. Maybe we haven't found all the fragments. Nalbinding was gradually supplanted by knitting. It says here that there are some medieval images of knitting, although it didn't become popular until later on in the Middle Ages. It says here that in Finland, knitting supplanted nalbinding as late as in the 17th century. And nalbinding has been kept alive by, for example, he says here that there is a region in eastern Finland, Karelia, where work mittens were still nail-bound in the 1950s. Nalbinding is having a resurgence because of the rise in popularity of reenactment groups, because if you want to have historically accurate garments and fabrics from a period before knitting being popularized, you have to have nail-bound fabric. Here it describes that the yarn is bound or tied as loops attached to each other, and what that means is that nail-bound fabric doesn't unravel. And it says here that people would wear mittens that were nail-bound in Finland so that the devil wouldn't be able to unravel them. So it was kind of a protection against evil, because the devil could unravel knitted mittens, I guess. And people would even get buried with a pair of nail-bound mittens in the Finnish Iron Age burials. First, you need a needle. Traditional materials are bone, wood, horn, and also metal. Obviously, I have the one from the gift shop, which is, I believe, plastic. But it will do for a beginner like me. And the only thing it says here is that you may find different types that you like best, like with all crafts. But for a beginner, it's better if it's not too thick of a needle and it has a sharp tip so that it can get into the stitches easily. And I think that's absolutely fine. That's very sharp. Yarn. As with many things, it says here, it's better if you don't start with something very dark and thin. And now that we're all ready to start, Mervi, the author of this book, decides to scare us off by telling us that in olden times, mothers used to place nålbinding starts into their daughters' chests when they were going to get married, because starting nålbinding is so tough that they would start for them so that they wouldn't look incompetent as new young wives. So that's Mervi, don't tell me that. Now I'm scared. Now I'm scared I'm not going to be able to start. The easiest way to begin is with a knot. Agreed. I know how to make a knot. I feel very much that Mervi is trying to manage our expectations. He says be patient. He says the working yarn will twist and knot itself and end up in an unrecognizable bundle. I guess it's good. I guess it's good to set up expectations at the start. Oh, hey, I feel that I am not understanding anything. Or as I haven't threaded. First you thread the needle. Make a big knot at the end of the working yarn. What does that mean? Then this is the end of the working yarn, right? I don't think I've done anything. This is not right. It's in the same family. So I have been trying to follow the instructions in the book for such a long time, and I don't know if I'm just misreading something or if I'm just not understanding some terminology, or I don't know what it is. I just don't understand what I'm trying to do. So despite the fact that I did want to just use the book and not run to YouTube tutorials straight away, I am going to have to do some additional research because I cannot start.
Now we repeat the process. Slide the needle down your thumb underneath both the loops.
Eh? How am I doing? I don't even know. It looks like a different craft altogether. I do feel ever so slightly like I am losing my mind. I don't understand how to make a stitch. Oh dear. Oh, the left-handed start, even though it says it's just a mirror image of the right-handed start, it has so many more pictures. So take needle from right to left instead of left to right and under the loop. This is how left-handed people feel all the time, isn't it? Drop the topmost loop behind your thumb. I have to say, the left-handed instructions are much clearer for some reason. Gosh, I can see why the devil can't unravel this. So we're about an hour in, and roughly this is what I've got. I am in the process of trying to unravel this, which, yeah, I feel very protected against evil. Okay, I think it's happening. Yeah, that kind of looks like something, no? It looks like a starting chain of some kind. We are rapidly losing daylight, but after whatever these things were, we got to this, which I would say that looks like a chain. I want to figure out how to have a round start, because this is what I would like to make. I know, this is like, step 1, step 2, step 3. I appreciate that, but eventually what I would like to be able to make is something like a sock, and they start with a round start. Carefully pull the tail of the working yarn. Yeah! This is very much a theory based on nothing at all that I have, but I mean, I think there is some common sense in it. I think some people really thrive doing the basics first and getting really, really confident and comfortable with the basics, and then tackling a bigger project. And I feel like that makes a lot of sense, and a lot of the way that things are taught is based on that. And obviously, with some things, it has to be that way. Okay? You have to do the basics over and over again for certain things because of safety or whatever. Or for example, I looked up how to get better at doing crochet without looking. A lot of the advice was basically practice doing single crochets and practicing double crochets, and just close your eyes and do one stitch, look down, see what it looks like, and adjust and so on. And that makes so much sense. It does logically make so much sense. However, I can't imagine anything more disheartening and boring than doing that. I got better at crocheting without looking by doing it. I just took up a project and put on a film and tried and crocheted a hat without looking. It's kind of the only way I can get my brain on board with learning a new skill, is if I know that I'm working on some sort of project. So the idea of making a sock now comes from knowing myself and knowing my personality and knowing that I'm much more likely to figure out. I'm not going to figure out what all the different stitches and notation mean unless I am figuring them out in service of a project. Excuse the morning voice, it is the morning, and this is what the sock is looking like. I think, sorry, my chair is creaky if you hear creaking noises. So it starts with a circle and then it's spiraling. You can kind of see the progression of the stitches, kind of messier at the start, and they get a bit neater as we keep going. So now comes a part where I can't quite figure out, just by reading it, it is not immediately clear to me what I need to do next. Wait, so the sock is like that, and I'm like here at the end of the ball of the foot. So basically I'm starting to go vertically up, and then we're going to just go up like that. And the decreases on one end and increases on the other end are creating the heel. Ooh, I get it. Okay, as with every craft that's been around for a long time, I can just imagine all the people before me who at some point were at some stage similar to this, with a sock and with learning nalbinding for the first time, and I can feel transcendently connected to them. Also, the fact that I'm already at this stage, right? And yeah, never mind, some of the stitches are a bit wonky, whatever. This is a thing that I keep on reminding myself, and I keep forgetting it somehow. That we are often hours, days, at most weeks away from having some sort of working understanding of something that we're interested in. Don't believe in the propaganda that the starting is the hardest part. It isn't. It's looking a little funny. I mean, it doesn't look unlike a sock, but obviously something has gone slightly bizarre at some point. This is not quite right. Here I kept increasing for too long. So yeah, but it's not a sock, I would say, right? I have to say this is the most inconvenient part of nalbinding in the very brief experience I've had so far with it. It is the fact that you have to keep adding more yarn and you have to pull the entirety of that yarn through every single time, which means that you can only add so much at once. Let me show you how to do the join, which I've attempted to film already before, but I didn't press record. So I'm gonna show you now. Okay, so you cross like this, the new strand of yarn and the old strand of yarn, and then you thread it through a tapestry needle. This one is actually a quite sharp tapestry needle, which I think is quite nice. But this is not exactly a tutorial, I'm just showing you in case you're interested. And then you just poke it through. So you basically are going to do this. You're going to cross it over like this and like this, like that. Boop, 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 like that, right? It's a Russian join, I've heard it called, but it's the one that's described in the book as well. So that's what you're doing. So you thread it through, basically in the middle of the twist in the yarn. And I like doing it with this kind of sharper tapestry needle because I feel like it kind of goes in between the fibers a little bit more and it's really seamless and it feels quite sturdy as well as being sort of invisible. So you go through for a bit and then you pull the needle through, like that. And then once you've done that, you just straighten it all out and poof, the new yarn has been bloop inside. There is a little bit here sticking out, but I can just cut that. And then you do the same thing on the other side, as you can imagine. There you go. And you can barely see it. It's just, there is basically just a few centimeters of thicker yarn. And I am aware that it kind of looks like I've gone back loop. And maybe I should have gone front loop. You know? I am aware of this, but I was way too deep into the project when I kind of thought, am I supposed to be going into the front loops rather than the back loops? Because the stitch kind of lies flat like this. Okay, that's my first nalbinded sock with some bizarre things going on at some point, such as this massive hole that I'm going to close right now. That was just a mistake. And then I'll show you the finished sock. Are you ready for the big reveal? So, not sure how I'm going to show you. There you go. Yes, I'm wearing funky leggings, but here's a sock. It doesn't look not like a sock. It feels like I'm wearing a sock. It's stretchy enough to get over my foot, but then the ankle is narrow enough that I don't think it's going to slide down. I'm just marching on the spot. But no matter how wonky this sock is, it's still so exciting that I made it with a technique that people 4,000 years ago might have been using. And maybe some child 4,000 years ago also made a sock kind of as wonky as this one, as they were learning to nalbind. Let me know if you've ever done nalbinding or if you'd like to try. There are very experienced people here on YouTube that you can watch for actual instructions rather than whatever this was. Now I'm going to pick my next craft project from my beautiful notebook full of ideas. For some reason this is calling out to me, I'm going to fix all my clothes. So I have a pile of clothing that needs little repairs or socks that need darning and things like that. And I've just put all those clothes in a big bag to be dealt with at some point. I feel like now's the time. I've just nalbinded a whole sock from scratch. Certainly I can close a couple of holes. And I have a whole list of different ways of darning and fixing, visible mending and so on that I want to try. So that's going to be my next project and my next video. So I hope to see you next week. And in the meantime, if you want to check out this video of me trying to use a sewing machine for the first time and making an entire wedding guest dress. Thank you for watching.